My wife Sharon and I, we came here to Mozambique in 2006. And we came with one child. He was a year old at the time. And since then, we've expanded our family to have 4 children. So 2 of them were born here in Africa, and then our 4th one was born back in the United States. And when we came in 2006, we actually came to do relief and development work. We worked for an organization that was really looking after the poor and disenfranchised in central Mozambique. We moved up here to northern Mozambique in 2008 to specifically work with the churches in a discipleship capacity. Really our goal from the beginning has been equipping, coming alongside the local church here in Mozambique to encourage them and to assist them in reaching cross-culturally to those people groups who've never had an opportunity to hear the gospel. So toward that end, we've been working. Now, one of the things that we have been fairly comfortable at is teaching aspects from the Bible, teaching them aspects from Bible translation, teaching them aspects of curriculum development, literacy, all that goes on to actually teaching how to do effective cross-cultural church work. The one area, though, that we continue to struggle in is when we come with that reality for an African to actually go into these remote people groups. How are they going to live? How are they going to be able to sustain themselves? How are they going to be able to support themselves and their family? And you know, the model that we in the West show is we will be talking to our friends and our churches, and the Lord has really blessed the church in the West economically. And I think it's right for them to come alongside and be sending missionaries out and be partnering with them financially. But the realities here in Africa are different. And it will be very difficult for a family to gather their entire living support from the churches and their friends here in Africa. So we began talking and sitting down with church leaders and asking them, what is it? What is it that we can do? How is it that we can better equip people? And what they told us very clearly was that when our members will be moving to these remote locations, they will be living just like the people that they are reaching. They will be basically doing sustenance farming. The farming that the locals are going to be doing, we will be doing. And we will be living basically on what we can produce. And so we committed then at that point to how can we better equip these future missionaries here in Mozambique to not just be equipped with the gospel, to not just be equipped in communication skills and other technical areas, but how can they actually be equipped to do better farming? How can they be better equipped to do agriculture, not just in a survival way, but really in a flourishing way? And out of that dream really came what you're seeing here. And that's this 1 hectare piece of land. It's a farm that we're wanting it to be a sustainable farm. A farm that everything that a Mozambican family or an African family would need, we can actually grow on this 1 hectare. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is that we're not going to be able to grow absolutely everything with just one growing cycle. So we're experimenting with many areas, specifically in the area of agriculture and irrigation. You know, one of the things that we've noticed is that when the Mozambicans will actually plant, they always plant at the beginning of the rains. And that's normal. We've been doing it for generations and generations and generations here. And you have quite a bumper crop in the months of June, July. That's when most of the crops are being harvested and there's plenty of food. But then when it comes time for November, December, right when the rains they've ended, and in fact they're just getting ready to start again, there's virtually no food left in the country. So we're realizing that for us to be successful and grow all of our needs on 1 hectare of ground, we're actually going to have to do at least 2, if not 3 growing cycles. So we're experimenting with irrigation, drip irrigation. At the moment, one of the things that we've been able to do is introduce composting, introduce new varieties of vegetables from a sustenance standpoint, from a nutritional standpoint, particularly for the children, medicinal trees, plants. All those things is something we feel is just very important for a Mozambican family living in these remote areas to be able to flourish as a family and ultimately be an agent of change, an agent of transformation in these communities, not just in the spiritual, but also in how the people live. You know, some people really feel that the main reason why we're doing this farming and we're doing this sustainable development like this is for the reason that I mentioned earlier, and that is financially they can't survive. But really it goes beyond that. We want individuals, when they move into these communities, to be a contributing member to that community, to be showing these communities how is it that we can actually break this cycle of poverty. How is it that we can break this cycle of, they may not know it yet, but this cycle of sin, so that we can actually rise up out of it. And really, as God promised us in Genesis, He said, you know, the land will provide for you. He wants us to steward the land. And so that aspect is what we want to communicate. Communicate the idea that through work, understanding our role and how God placed man in the garden to work the land, that if we follow those principles, the land will provide for us. And to be able to teach those principles in any community that we move into, so that nutrition will improve in that community, infant mortality will decrease in those communities, so that the kids will actually be able to have better nutrition. And ultimately, families, we believe, will be healthier because they will be spending less time commuting from home to farm, but they'll actually be able to stay together in the plot of land that they're working, in a more condensed area, but actually working it year-round. Working it year-round because we're now having more than just one growing cycle, but 2, maybe even 3 growing cycles in a year.